Why consciousness doesn't end at death. A Buddhist perspective on continuity beyond death. Consciousness is not a thing. It's a stream of conditions. Most of us carry a simple picture of what happens to consciousness at death. We think of it like a light from a light bulb. Our body is the bulb, and our awareness is the glow. When the bulb breaks, the light disappears. The story ends. This image feels intuitive, but also deeply final. For many, it brings a quiet fear. When the body dies, everything ends. But the Buddhist tradition offers a different way of seeing. It invites us to look more carefully, not just at death, but at consciousness itself. Before we ask, what happens after we die, we are asked to consider a more fundamental question. What exactly is consciousness in this very moment? Instead of the light bulb, Buddhism proposes another image. A river. A river is not a fixed thing. It's a flow. It moves across changing landscapes, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but the current continues. The death of the body, in this analogy, is not the end of the stream. It's a transformation of the terrain. The current shifts, but it does not vanish. This perspective isn't based on blind faith. It's rooted in direct observation, and it's supported by one of the most precise teachings of the Buddha. In the Mahatanhasankaya Sutta, the Buddha corrects a common misunderstanding. A monk named Sati believed that consciousness is a fixed entity that passes from one life to another. The Buddha responded decisively. Apart from a condition, there is no arising of consciousness. In other words, consciousness isn't something that exists on its own. It's an event that only arises when the necessary conditions are present. For example, visual consciousness arises when there is an eye, a visible object, and light. Auditory consciousness arises when there is an ear and a sound. Mental consciousness arises when there is a mind and a thought. In every case, consciousness is dependent, emerging from contact, not existing independently of it. This leads to a profound shift in how we see ourselves. If consciousness is a process, not a substance, then there is no fixed self or inner soul residing behind it. The one who is aware right now is not a solid identity, but a continuity of moments, each arising and vanishing, linked by causality. In the Buddhist tradition, this unbroken succession is known as Cittasantana, the stream of mind. Here, the concept of non-self, anatta, becomes clear. It doesn't deny experience. It reveals that what we call a self is not an unchanging entity, but a convenient label for a constantly moving process. This is not a denial of consciousness, but a recognition that consciousness is not a thing. It is what happens when conditions meet. And this changes the whole question. If consciousness is not a thing that exists, but an activity that unfolds, then the idea of it being destroyed at death is misplaced. What ends is not a thing, but a set of conditions. When the body ceases to function, the riverbed collapses, but the current, shaped by other forces, may still continue. Karma, the intention that moves the mind. If consciousness is not a fixed thing but a flowing process, like a river, then a natural question arises. What makes it flow? A river does not move by itself. It is shaped by the land, pulled by gravity, and fed by countless drops of rain. Likewise, the stream of mind does not drift aimlessly. It flows with a certain direction, driven by something deep and unseen. In Buddhist thought, That unseen force is karma. Karma is one of the most misunderstood words in the modern world. Many people think of it as a cosmic system of reward and punishment, as if some divine judge is keeping score. But in its original meaning, karma is far more subtle and profound. It simply means intention. The Buddha made this clear in the Anguttara Nikaya, where he said, Satanaham bhikkhave kamam vadami. It is intention, monks, that I call karma. This is the essence of the law. Karma is not something added onto our lives from outside. It is the natural echo of our own volitional acts. Every time we think, speak, or act with intention, we shape the stream of our mind. These intentions do not vanish. They are imprinted in the continuity of mental moments, like seeds falling into the soil of consciousness. Imagine your mind as a vast, living garden. Every intentional act is like planting a seed. A generous act sows the seed of kindness. A harsh word plants the seed of resentment. Some seeds sprout quickly. Others lie dormant beneath the surface, waiting for the right conditions to grow. The stream of consciousness carries this entire garden forward, moment by moment, life after life. But karma is not just poetic. It follows a clear mechanism. That mechanism is called paticca samuppada, or dependent origination. It is the Buddha's precise explanation of how experience unfolds. Though the full chain contains 12 links, the first few are most crucial for understanding how the stream continues beyond death. It begins with avijja, ignorance. Because we do not see clearly the nature of life, we crave, we cling, we react. From this ignorance arises sankhara, the karmic formations. These are the habitual tendencies we accumulate through repeated actions of body, speech, and mind. And from these karmic formations arises vijnana, the new moment of consciousness, the next ripple in the stream. This is the turning point. The energy stored in past intentions becomes the momentum that propels the stream into a new moment, a new life. There is no need for a fixed self or a traveling soul. The process continues by cause and effect. As the Buddha taught in the Kulakama Vibhanga Sutta, beings are the owners of their deeds, the heirs of their deeds. Their deeds are their womb. Their deeds are their relatives. Their deeds are their refuge. Whatever deeds they do, good or bad, of those they will be the heirs. In this light, karma is not fate. It is not punishment. It is continuity. It is the natural unfolding of the stream of mind according to the intentions that have shaped it. Each moment of awareness is not born from nowhere. It carries with it the subtle weight of everything that came before. So the river of consciousness is not drifting in chaos. It is guided, not by chance, but by the very intentions we cultivate every day. The habits we form, the compassion we nourish, the fears we feed, all become part of the current that continues long after this body, like a river that flows even after the land beneath it has changed. The transition of death, from one moment to the next. If consciousness flows like a stream, and karma shapes its current, then a deeply personal question naturally arises. What happens when this body dies? How is the flow maintained? What links the final moment of one life to the first stirrings of another? The answer begins with the mind at the very edge of death. In that final moment, the mind is not still. It is stirred by a deep, powerful force, tanha, or craving. It is the thirst for becoming, the subtle pull toward continued existence. Like a magnet, this craving draws the stream of consciousness toward a new set of conditions, a new form of life. The Buddha described this process clearly in the Mahatmanhasankaya Sutta. For a new life to begin, 3 conditions must converge: the union of the parents, the right biological timing, and a third element known as the Gandhava. This Gandhava is not a soul or spirit, but the momentum of a previously lived mind stream, carrying its accumulated karma, now seeking the next place to arise. Without this factor, physical conditions alone are not enough for rebirth to occur. This leads to an ancient and profound question. If there is no permanent self, what is it that is reborn? The Buddhist tradition does not answer with a thing, but with a process. The Milinda Panha, a classical text of dialogues, uses vivid metaphors to clarify this. One of the most famous is the candle. If you use one candle to light another, and then extinguish the first, is the second flame the same? Not exactly. But is it entirely different? Also no. The second flame depends entirely on the first. There is no transfer of substance, but there is continuity of cause and effect. This is how the transition of consciousness happens. The final moment of awareness in this life, called the Kuddhicitta, conditions the arising of the first moment in the next life, the Patisandhi Vijnana. Nothing material or permanent passes across, but the process itself continues without a break. It is a transmission not of self, but of conditions. This is why the Buddha used the expression "naka so, naka anyo," not the same, not another. The one who is reborn is not identical to the one who died, because all physical and mental elements have changed. But neither is it a completely separate being, because the stream of karmic causes has continued. The identity is not in the form, but in the continuity of conditions. So death, in this light, is not an abrupt end. It is a moment of transition, a turning of the stream, where the accumulated energy of a life passes forward, just as one flame lights the next. The water in the river may be new, but the direction of its flow has roots in everything that came before. The stream of mind in the modern world: observation, memory, and meaning. The insights we've explored so far come from ancient contemplative traditions. But how do they speak to the modern mind, shaped by skepticism, science, and a hunger for direct experience? Can we engage with these teachings without relying on blind belief? Fortunately, the Buddhist tradition itself encourages this very question. It does not demand faith for the sake of faith. Instead, it invites us to investigate, to observe, to see for ourselves. In modern science, the dominant view is clear. Consciousness is a function of the brain. When the brain stops, so does the mind. This is a useful model, but even scientists admit it may not be complete. In fact, some of the deepest thinkers in neuroscience have pointed to what they call the hard problem of consciousness. That is, why does brain activity give rise to subjective experience at all? Why does the electrical firing of neurons produce the felt sense of pain, or the color red, or the love of a child? So far, no scientific model can fully explain this. And in this space of mystery, certain phenomena begin to stand out, not as proof, but as open questions worth exploring. Take the near-death experience, NDE, for example. Across cultures and continents, People who have been declared clinically dead for brief periods often return with vivid accounts of awareness, even during times when brain function appears to be absent. These reports are consistent, detailed, and emotionally transformative. Another area of quiet yet persistent research comes from Dr. Ian Stevenson and his team at the University of Virginia. They documented over 2,500 cases of children who spontaneously reported memories of past lives, complete with names, locations, and events that were later verified. These children often spoke of places they had never visited, or families they had never met, with clarity that puzzled even the most skeptical investigators. From a Buddhist perspective, these cases suggest the spontaneous continuation of a citta santana, a stream of mind moved not by faith, but by its own karmic momentum. The sankharas, mental impressions and volitional formations, carried from one life, continue to shape the emergence of the next. But what if that continuation is not only spontaneous, but intentional? This is where Tibetan Buddhism offers a striking example. In the tradition of Tulkus, highly developed teachers are believed to be reborn intentionally out of compassion. These individuals, like the Dalai Lamas, do not return due to craving or confusion, but from a clear vow to serve. Their rebirth is not seen as a return of a fixed personality, but as the continuation of a powerful volitional force. The process of identifying a tulku is not random. Often, the child is discovered through visions, signs, or instructions left by the previous teacher. The child is presented with objects, some real, some false, from the former life. And again, the child chooses the correct ones. Not because a soul remembers, but because the stream of karmic imprints, the sankharas, remains alive in the unfolding process. This is not magic. It is not dogma. It is simply what happens when intention becomes refined, when the mind is trained to carry compassion forward beyond even death. Still, many may remain unconvinced, and that's okay. The Buddha anticipated this uncertainty. In the Kalama Sutta, he addressed those confused by competing teachings. He did not say, "Believe me." Instead, he offered a profound kind of practical wisdom. He said, "Live with integrity, speak with kindness, act with mindfulness. If there is another life, these actions will bear good fruit. If there is not, you will still have lived in peace, without regret, without harm, and without delusion." This is the spirit of Buddhist inquiry, not to win an argument about what lies beyond, but to encourage a life lived well here and now, with care, with attention, and with compassion. Beyond the stream, the true meaning of liberation. We've seen that consciousness is not a fixed thing, but a stream, flowing moment to moment, shaped by karma, and carried forward by craving. We've explored how this stream continues from life to life, sustained by intention and driven by causes. But this leads us to a deeper question. If the stream never stops on its own, what is its purpose? In the Buddhist view, the fact that consciousness continues is not, in itself, a comfort. The ongoing flow of birth, aging, and death, known as samsara, is not something to celebrate, but something to understand deeply. It is the condition of being caught, again and again, in suffering. The Buddha once said, "The tears you have shed while wandering in this long cycle are more than the water in the 4 great oceans." This perspective changes everything. The goal of the path is not to secure a better rebirth or prolong the stream. The goal is to step out of the stream altogether, to bring an end to the cycle of reactivity, craving, and becoming. That end is called nibbana. The word means to extinguish, like the gentle going out of a flame. But what is extinguished is not the self, for there is none to begin with. What ends are the fires, the burning of greed, hatred, and delusion. Nibbana is not annihilation. It is peace. It is the unconditioned, the deathless, amata, beyond the push and pull of samsara. Far from being abstract, this understanding gives our lives a quiet clarity. It reminds us that every moment matters. Each thought, each action, each intention either fuels the stream or helps us release it. This awareness naturally deepens our sense of responsibility, not out of fear, but from insight. We begin to see that cultivating kindness, honesty, and mindfulness is not just morally good, it is liberating. These qualities are what loosen the stream's grip. They are not about becoming someone new, but about letting go of the habits that keep us spinning. It also reshapes our relationship with death. When we see death not as a final erasure, but as a moment of transition within a larger stream, fear softens. There is less panic about the end, and more interest in the quality of the journey, now. Most importantly, this insight directs us inward. The Buddha never asked us to simply believe. He encouraged us to look. Through practices like meditation, mindful awareness, and ethical living, we begin to witness the stream as it flows within us. We see how craving rises, how intentions take form, how suffering is born. And we begin, little by little, to unhook from the current. The Dhamma is not a theory. It is a mirror. And at the heart of its reflection is not the question, what happens after death, but what is happening right now. In his final teaching, the Buddha did not speak of other worlds. He spoke to this moment. He said, Vayadhamma Sankara, Apamadena Sampadetha. All conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with mindfulness. This is the final message. The stream continues, but it need not carry us blindly. We can wake up within it. We can touch something beyond it. And we can live, not merely as passengers in the current, but as beings capable of liberation.